So I wanted to do this review on the Weber carb. It's been easily over a year since I've had it. The only frustrating thing and complaint I would have about it, or rather, really two things. Nope, skip that. Three things. The spacer uh, or adapter plate, I guess you can call it that. This would normally run between this bottom plate that bolts onto your intake manifold, and then this adapter, the spacer, would bolt onto that, and then your carb would bolt onto this. Um, my first issue, again, it's not with the carb itself, but it's just these three little parts. The adapter plate itself, as it turns out, is not actually uh, good, what you would consider good quality aluminum. It's actually really, it's a mold, and it's very poorly made. If you over tighten your bolts or your studs, you'll either strip or crack the spacer. It's not what you would consider very durable. That's why I have that's why I ended up getting this custom adapter plate made at a local small machine shop, and it's functioned way better than this one. Ever since I installed that one, no gas leaks whatsoever, like at all. It's just freaking gorgeous. It's beautiful. Um, Again, that first complaint is that the second are the studs that came with the kit. They're not the right studs. Um, the typical studs that would normally come with a carburetor kit would have this, and this isn't. I'm just using this as reference. These aren't actually the studs that would go to for your carburetor. These are the ones that would go for your manifolds and exhausts. But I've never bothered to use these because these are newer and there's a lot less what you would call meat in them. They're just smaller. There's just less metal. But anyway, hopefully you guys can see. There's threading throughout the whole thing except the center. There's a spot where it's solid. Well, it's more I guess the proper word is prominent or noticeable in normal carburetor studs. And that's what I ended up having to do is I went out to Ace Hardware and got the proper studs, and that's what's on there now. The studs that came in the kit are threaded all the way through, which meant no matter how much you tightened or even screwed them on to the proper length, they would never be tight and secure enough to hold anything properly. And it was the combination of the poorly made adapter plate and the wrong studs that came with the kit. A combination of both kept causing the carb to come loose and just wobble, and it was causing fuel to seep through in between the spacer plates and the carb itself. Not just that, but also causing like a vacuum leak. So that was a bummer until I got the proper studs and installed them. I haven't had that issue. This sucker's been nice and tight and firm, no looseness whatsoever, no gas leaks, um, no vacuum leaks or anything at all. And the third issue, is the throttle cable bracket. I had to fashion this out of different pieces of metal and other brackets, and bolt stuff together to make this one. to hold this in place. The stock throttle bracket that comes with the kit would normally be bolted on to these two studs, and that in itself was causing. I had that throttle bracket bolted onto these studs, and that in itself was adding to the problem as well. Because the constant tension, while you're accelerating and decelerating and all that good stuff, was causing tension at the top end of these bolts, these two bolts that were over here on this side, because the bracket setup sat much higher up on the thread of the bolts and not lower. So it was causing these bolts, it was causing them to wobble and loosen, which again was also adding to the seepage of gasoline and the vacuum leak. And once I fashioned this is actually bolted on just by one bolt, I believe. Down here I used a stock. I used this stock mounting point on the intake to bolt this entire mechanism, and it's nice and tight and it's not going anywhere. But again, ever since I did that, I don't have to worry about the bolts, the studs on this side coming loose or anything like that. But other than that, other than those three items from the kit that came with the kit, the carb itself, I don't have any actual issues with the carb. The carb is done exactly what it's meant to do. Don't get me wrong, I'm not like I'm running around breaking any speed records or anything like that, but she's definitely faster, especially at the what do they call it, the low end speed, first, second, and third gears. It's noticeably faster. Yeah. Other than these three crappy quality and then the really bad design of the throttle bracket, this thing functions beautifully. It does what it's supposed to, and so does the what and so does the fuel pressure regulator. Man, this thing again, it does what it's supposed to. It lets me know. I did have to go out and get this gauge from O'Reilly's, which is no big deal. But yeah, this thing is really, really simple to use and easy to adjust. It's just super easy. So that's also. I mean, I've never had any issues with it. I would recommend, if I haven't already mentioned this before, I would recommend getting these type of clamps that are solid and not these kinds that have these slits in them, because if you over tighten them a little too much, say you had these on your fuel lines and you over tighten them just a hair too much, they will start cracking the hose, and you'll have fuel seep through that. So it's preferable to have these solid lines. But yeah, other than that, man, I freaking love the Weber carb. This thing's gorgeous. It functions so much. I don't know. It just, the overall performance. I mean, some people say that they did notice the performance, but me personally, I definitely noticed it. It just, for me personally, the carb made a big difference in the overall performance of the engine. But yeah, other than those, the adapter plate, the studs, and the throttle bracket, throttle cable bracket, I've got no complaints whatsoever. I'm actually glad I got the Weber carb. But yeah, I just wanted to make this little quick review on this, and I'll see you.